So, what should we eat before going diving? Well, quick answer. You're going to want healthy foods that are going to give you energy all day. Think a diet similar to what an average athlete's going to have before any big event. And don't forget, we're going to want something that isn't going to taste terrible if it comes back up. Yeah. But before we dive into our topic of diets and diving, let me introduce myself. My name is Larry from Channel Island Scuba. Whether you're thinking about starting your open water course or you're an experienced diver just looking to level up your knowledge base, we are the community of divers asking the same questions that you are, and hopefully we're finding the answers together. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for checking us out. And a special thank you to all of our returning divers. If the information we discuss on this video is of value to you, please like the video down below. And if you want more, subscribe to our channel. The likes and subscribes really do go a long way to help other divers find us, and hopefully we can add some value to their dives as well. Okay, with that, let's dive back into our main topic of diets and diving. So first, I want to talk about how many calories we actually burn on an active dive. So according to Dan, Divers Alert Network, under unusually strenuous recreational conditions, it is possible to burn more than 500 calories in one dive. And I'm going to link that article that I found that in down below. But think of an unusual dive, right? Maybe it's colder than usual. Maybe we have some current. Maybe we have to fight through some kelp. Maybe this is just an average day of California diving, right? This can be a lot of calorie burns. To compare this, you burn about 100 calories for every mile you run. So it's like running a 5-mile run for every dive you do. That's a lot of calories that we're burning. So we want to get ahead of that. We want to stay on top of ourselves. If you're currently on a diet and you're on a low-calorie diet, low-calorie diets and diving don't really mix. You're not going to be eating enough calories to do the physical activities that you're trying to do. So just for the day, cut the diet out and make sure you're eating enough. For my diabetic friends out there, make sure you're checking your blood sugar enough. When I have diabetic students new to diving, I make sure they're checking their blood sugar before and after every dive that they do. And I make sure they continue to do that until they really get a handle under how everything's going to change on an active day of diving. So yes, this does mean you're going to be checking your blood sugar 4 or 5 times a day at least, but make sure you're staying on top of it until you really see how the calorie burn in diving is different than your average athletic day. Okay? So we want more food. We also want a lot more water too. Diving is inherently a dehydrating sport. We're breathing in very, very dry air, and we're in salt water. The salt itself from the water is going to be leaching water out of us. So we want to make sure we're staying on top of our water intake too. And this means getting ahead of it prior to the actual day of. Okay. I like the healthy foods. I like fresh fruits. I like, for my morning breakfast, I like yogurt with some granola. I think that's fantastic. If you don't have the time to really prepare a basic continental style breakfast and you need to hit the fast food's okay. I don't really like having the McDiver before a day of diving. It doesn't really settle in my stomach well. That being said, there have been many days where I'm running late and I really just need a quick pick-me-up, and the fast food drive-thru is just right there. And if that's what you need to do, whatever, more power to you. But preferably the fresh fruits, the good high-calorie oatmeals and yogurts are fantastic for your breakfast. I like to avoid the sugary donuts. This is not good for a day of diving. Is it great for right now? Maybe, but not for your day of diving. I also personally like to avoid the heavy oils and fats like bacon and eggs. That really doesn't sit well in my stomach for a day of diving. Now, if you're the kind of person, and I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this from you guys, if you got to have your bacon in the morning, dude, do your thing. Whatever. It's more power to you. But it doesn't really sit well in my stomach, so that's something I do try and avoid. I'd like to talk about caffeine for a second. If you're a big coffee person, caffeine, your energy drinks, caffeine and diving technically don't mix very well. Now, my freediving friends out there, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. when we're doing breath hold diving and we have caffeine, caffeine inherently is going to increase our heart rate. That's just what it does. And when we're breath hold diving, that increased heart rate is going to decrease the amount of time we have on each dive. Now, if we were to translate this to scuba, in theory, more caffeine would mean higher breathing rates, theoretically less time underwater. Now, is that going to make or break an average recreational scuba dive? No, not at all. So if you're the type of person that's got to have your morning coffee, dude, have your morning coffee. I can tell you there's many, many cold mornings that hot cup of coffee just hits so good. So do your thing by all means. But if you're a 5 or 6 cup of coffee kind of person, maybe think about cutting it back, right? If you like the really high caffeine drinks, maybe thinking about cutting it back, because in the long run, it is going to benefit your diving with less caffeine in your body. Okay. Now, what about during the dives? Right, let's talk lunch. For lunch, personally, I like the quick and easy sandwiches. Right? I'm a big PB&J person, but your ham and cheese, your tuna, whatever's easy that you can throw in the backpack, that's going to last all day. It's perfect. For our cold days, nothing hits better than a hot cup of soup. Nothing hits better than the soup. So heat that up, throw it in the thermos first thing in the morning, something that's going to keep it hot all day. That way, when lunch rolls around or just between your dives when you're starting to get chilly, that's something that'll help warm you up. And on those cold days, nothing hits better than something hot in your stomach, for sure. Whether that's a cup of coffee, some soup, whatever it might be. And then if the dive boat is serving you lunch, a lot of the California boats out here, they have hot lunches ready for us. Everything that they're doing is really good for diving. High calorie typically, easy on the stomach, that's fantastic. Okay. Now, a lot of this, I'm really kind of tying into being motion sick and just having something easy on the stomach. Being active in general can turn the stomach a little bit. If we're in surge underwater, that can churn our stomach. Just the motion of a boat is going to churn our stomach. Free divers, the act of being heads down on our dive, that can mess with our stomach. So we're all kind of circling back into that. But what happens if it happens? What happens if we start feeling sick on the day of? Well, you can take some medication to prevent that. I'm not going to get into medication on this video. That's a whole topic in and of itself. I'll probably put a video together on that later on. But food that can help us out. I absolutely love your ginger ales. Really nice to just throw one of these little cans in there. You start feeling sick, grab one of these. Or any ginger snaps, ginger chews, whatever it may be. All of that is great to help settle the stomach when it starts to feel a little rough. Let's think about now, kind of change the subject and talk about the night before. Because yes, even the day before a dive, you already want to start prepping for your day of diving. Personally, I like to carb load. Just like your marathon runners are going to carb load the night before their marathon, I like to grab myself a big bowl of pasta, load it up with a bunch of protein, and just go to town. High on the calories, high on the carbs. Really just get it packed in there. That's going to be energy for the next day, and that's going to keep you going throughout the entire day. But typically, when we're diving, we're kind of on vacation too most of the time. So there's other things we're going to be getting into the night before, right? Your alcohol, sodas, maybe caffeinated drinks, right? Anything that's not water or electrolyte drinks like your Gatorades, Powerades, whatever that might be, any of those things are going to be inherently dehydrating. And there are numerous studies showing that over alcohol use is tied into diver injuries. So in general, we want to avoid alcohol as best we can. It's vacation. That's just not going to happen for us for a lot of the time. And we get that. That's totally fine. Try and keep it to a 1 or 2 drink maximum. And with each alcoholic drink or soda or whatever it might be, have at least a liter of water for every non-water drink you have. Right? That's a lot of water. You're really trying to get that on. But because diving is so dehydrating, you really need to stay on top of it. And that comes from preparation, from the night before, from a couple days before. Really get that water intake going. And if you can be drinking a gallon or more of water each day, that's really ideal. Really ideal. More water than you think you're going to need, for sure. For sure. Okay. Awesome. Well, let me know your thoughts on all this down below. What is your go-to dive day food? I'd really love to hear your thoughts and really start a conversation on this. I'm going to try my best to respond to all of your comments as well. And really, I want to hear your input and I want you guys to hear mine. If you do want to support what we do here at the channel, we do have a web store with things like product from our product videos or apparel, like some of the things I'm wearing today. I'll drop a link in the description down below if you want to check that out. Once again, I'm Larry from Channel Island Scuba. Thank you so much for watching. Safe and happy diving.